enforcement agency. The Postal Commission in Missouri is not certified law enforcement agency. They only certify individual officers, so they have no power to be certified agency. It also calls for the Postal Commission to train, offer training. The Postal Commission in Missouri does not train. So hopefully, maybe some of these things will be cleared up in the other bill, and we have the answer questions.
Any questions for the witness? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Sheldon Linebacker, Missouri Police Chiefs. Only with regard to saying, hopefully with the based on our judgment of some of the technical aspect, specifically dealing with those commissions, what their authorities are, their current law. There's doing the same thing that already addressed. There's a couple issues in regards to establishing the indexes based on population, due to the fact that transient population aspect, we talked about the jurisdiction on the baseline. The problem is that there's any time of not common population differential in those cities that is being in consideration with the indexes.
Any questions for Sheldon? Thank you, sir. Next in opposition. Seeing none, that'll close the hearing. Go on.
Mr. Chair, may I make some closing statements?
You may.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, we wonder why we have so many events of people being upset and irritated in our state, especially in urban areas. And I think it was just proven that people see through things through different lenses. It's very evident. But as long as we are not making the effort to understand each side, we are going to continue to protest. And we are going to, legally of course, and we're going to continue to out anyone who decides to point their guns at 2-year-olds and infants. It is unethical and immoral to treat African Americans as if they are third-class citizens. Pointing guns at 2-year-olds is undeniable. I don't know who in the world would think a 2-year-old or an infant would be at risk of hurting a police officer. So the FOP just testified, and it's intriguing through that, but I will tell you from my experience, you would not have 100 people out on the streets if the occurrence did not happen. And I welcome these occurrences to continue to happen until there are people who are willing to look at the truth. As it comes to the differences between Senate Bill 671 and Senate Bill 976, I did that research about a month ago, and so if you want to look at any of the differences between the two bills, these are your examples, point by point, and I'm going to leave them with you here. The last point that I'm going to make, and I was deciding whether or not I was going to say this or not, but it's a 30-second story. I don't know how many of you have dogs. I have a dog. I've always had a dog in my life. But let me tell you about Authorizes, who is my dog, and he has probably the highest IQ of any of my pets I've ever had. So you play fetch with Authorizes. And sometimes when you're in the park and you play fetch with Authorizes, you do the fake out. You pretend to throw the ball, but you don't really throw it, and you try to see if he's going to know that you threw it or not. I actually have a dog who's smart. He knows when I'm not actually throwing the dog. When it comes to this legislation and any other bill that we are considering that deals with Ferguson or any civil rights violations, I am not going to play fetch.
That will close the hearing on Senate Bill 671, and we will now take a roll. Several members have.
Senator Dixon?
Here.
Senator Andre? Here. Senator Emery? Here. Senator Schaefer?
Here.
Senator Schmidt? Senator Kennedy?
Here.
Senator Dixon?
Here.
Okay. Next, we will hear Senate Bill 976. Senator Nasheed. Senator, I believe that your proposed committee substitute has been distributed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, I am Senator Nasheed, representing the 5th Senatorial District in the city of St. Louis. For your information, I do have a committee substitute that addresses the technical change at the end of the bill. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for over the last few years, as you all know, relationships between police departments and communities in our state have come into the national spotlight in the most negative way. Senate Bill 976 aims to improve that relationship with better monitoring of bias policing and better training for police departments in diverse communities. This fair and impartial policing act will help police officers know when and how to properly interact with suspects in a manner that respects their dignity and their civil rights. Let me just say this, in the bill, N976, we define policing in section 1 and 2. And sections 3 through 6 lays out the data and collection methods to be put in place to identify and cut out bias policing. Section 7 provides guidelines for police departments' policies. Section 8 and 9 lay out community partnerships and training for police officers. And section 10 is the enforcement provision of the bill. Section 11 allows civil recourse for victims of bias policing. Again, Mr. Chairman, make no mistake about it. This is not an act to attack police officers. What we are trying to do is weed out the bad cops for the betterment of the community and law enforcement alike. Many of you may want to know, what is the definition of bias policing? But let me define it for you. Bias policing occurs in circumstances in which police officers' actions were based in whole on the acts and in part of racial, ethnicity, gender, age, religion, beliefs, disabilities, English language proficiency, or national origins of a person rather than upon lawful and appropriate law enforcement procedures based on observed behaviors or facts. And please note that the defining definition of bias policing does not include situations where law enforcement must seek out suspects with a specific description. You may want to know, why is this bill necessary? Are there any data collection requirements? Senate Bill 976 adds teeth to the statute that already exists in law dealing with racial profiling. Police community relations in Missouri have been harmed by relaxed data collection policies that often mask racial and economic disparities within policing. The Fair and Impartial Police Act will require law enforcement accounts for the home address of the person stopped, regardless of whether the action took place at that particular place. In closing, You heard Senator Nadal, our bills are very similar. But in closing, I am sponsoring the Fair and Enforcement Police Act to end police bias actions throughout the state of Missouri, and also to support law enforcement. Again, this is not an attack on law enforcement. This is only to weed out the bad cops so that we can look at and get the opportunity to see the good cops. With that, I say thank you, and I'll take any questions that any of you may have.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions for the sponsor? Anyone to testify in support?
Logan, Sarah Rossi with the ACLU of Missouri. Our full support for SB 976. As I said, this is the updated version of this bill. To give you a little bit of background on that, the ACLU of Missouri is working in coalition with multiple different community organizations who came together after the shooting Michael Brown to discuss policing in Missouri, what could be done to improve it. Last year, when we asked Senator Chappelle-Nadal to file this bill, it was the version that we needed to get done and needed to get it filed so we could start having this conversation last year in the legislative session. We pushed hard last year to get a hearing. We didn't end up getting a hearing, so I'm thrilled we have one this year. It's also given us another year to go through the bill, flesh out some of the particulars that were at issue last year, clarify some of the definitions, improve some of the provisions to benefit police departments and communities and community members. So the bill, or the one you have in front of you now, SB 976, is kind of the new and improved version of the bill that was filed last year. I do want to hand to the committee a letter from Professor Richard Rosenfeld from the University of Missouri St. Louis. He's one of the academics who does the analysis of the Attorney General numbers every year and synthesizes that information for the Attorney General's office. And some of his concerns about the inaccuracy of that data are addressed in Senate Bill 976. So he wasn't able to be here today, so I told him I can't.
We'll distribute that to the committee. Thank you.
So Senate Bill 976, as I said, it was a long process. It's a long bill. I understand there's a lot in it. Some of it is very detailed, very wonky, and kind of confusing. But I think that it appropriately addresses not only the concerns of community members and civil liberties concerns, but also a lot of the concerns we've heard from police departments. For police departments specifically, we did hear a lot of concern, especially every year when these numbers come out. Every year since the Attorney General numbers started being compiled for the last 15 years, the disparity index has been terrible when you're comparing black drivers to white drivers. Black drivers were 1.75% more likely to be stopped, and almost 2% or almost 2.0% more likely to be searched and arrested. So those numbers kept coming out. They were terrible every year, and that's kind of all that happened with them. There were no consequences. There was no follow-up. There were usually a couple of meetings where they were before time went away. And a lot of the information we got from police departments about, a lot of the objection police departments had those numbers is because the data that was gathered and analyzed, they felt didn't accurately reflect what was actually happening on the ground. And you'll see from Professor Rosenfeld's letter from the bill itself, the biggest issue that police departments had, from what we could tell, and what Professor Rosenfeld suggested, is that you have to ask drivers, you have to record where they're coming from to figure out if the percentage of drivers being stopped is based on the residential number of black and white drivers, or if they're just passing through the neighborhood. Because they compared those numbers in the Attorney General's report compared to the residential population. But if you're just stopping drivers who are passing through and actually live there, it throws the numbers off. So we fixed that in this bill.
We'll need to open it for questions at this time.
Okay.
Any questions for the witness? And we have distributed that letter to all the committee members. Thank you. Anyone else to testify in support? Yes, please come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me time to speak. For starters, I'm Dr. Andrea Boyles. I am a researcher I am an administrative, a member of administration, meaning I'm the division chair of social and behavioral sciences at my institution located in the St. Louis region, and I am also an educator. With that said, I do support Senate Bill 976 as it stands, particularly as accurate and consistent reporting is crucial to my research as well as that of my colleagues. Not having accurate police reported data, we pull typically from two particular areas, that's police reported data as well as citizen reported data, and having the policing end of that information shortchanged in more ways than one, that significantly hinders our ability to analyze data, meaning it sort of snatches the bottom out of our ability to identify what I will term as hotspot areas that need targeting, need addressing, need reforming. It hinders our ability to shape and structure evidence-based solutions and suggestions that might work on the latter end in shaping. Additionally, I support Senate Bill 976 as it stands because, again, as a division chair of social behavioral sciences and as an educator, I am uniquely tasked with a criminal justice department, a department in which I am held to the fire and held accountable for ensuring quality faculty members, criminal justice members, and ensuring quality curriculum for our criminal justice students. That means that there are mandatory assessments that we are having to, and I'll say me specifically, mandatory assessments and so forth and actions that I have to take regularly to ensure that the next wave of criminal justice students are prepared. And so with that said, it seems reasonable to me that if I can take mandatory steps to ensure quality on the front end of many of these national police academies, and I can take quality steps in ensuring that the training is most important in terms of shaping curriculum, in terms of shaping critical thinking, in terms of shaping how they might think about later practicing at every level of law enforcement. It just seems reasonable that those same mandates be applied outside of the classroom throughout the state of Missouri in each and every law enforcement agency.
Thank you very much. Any questions for this witness? Thank you very much. And your timing was perfect. Like to the second. Thank you. We really do appreciate you coming down to speak with us today. Is there anyone else to testify in support? How many are here to testify in support of the bill? Just out of curiosity. 5, 6. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, honorable Senate members of the committee for judicial, civil, and criminal jurisdiction. Clark Brown from the Service Employees International Union. Just not here to present any facts or data, just basically here in principle. It's 10,000 plus members we live, a substantial number are minority and ethnic based. We have knowledge that we have several that live in the Ferguson community. We feel a responsibility to step outside of the circles of just the workplace, as we do often for supporting and advocating for social and life needs, healthcare access, social work. But we believe that this issue, Ferguson, after a year of working on this legislation, is time to look at it. We have a fairly general review of data that reflects we've got some biased policing practices. We think that we possibly should step up and look at implementing some policies to fix that. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for this one? Okay. Thank you, sir. Next in favor.
I'm a Ferguson resident, And before Ferguson happened, Ferguson Police Department was always known for using heavily police presence for intimidating black residents, even for a routine traffic stop. Sadly, before Ferguson happened, I knew once I walked out from my house, I could be viewed as a suspect simply for being black. This was my reality while living in Ferguson, Missouri. As a resident for 18 years, I witnessed racial profiling and discriminatory practices. I've seen 5 or more patrol cars pull over one vehicle. Sometimes these law enforcement would be accompanied by K9 dogs, and always the ethnicity of the driver will always be African American. As I came on call, I would think to myself, what could they have done? The mirror image of seeing so many patrol cars for one vehicle, for one traffic stop, made me think that whoever driver had to have done something terrible, creating this tainted image that all blacks are criminals. This subliminal message to me that no matter what, the police was the dominant force in my community. I didn't know then that witnessing this would have a mental, emotional, and physical effect on me. That subconsciously I would be a victim of these effects, where law enforcement sees African American as the usual suspect, which stems from racial profiling and discrimination. Apart from this, I live in constant fear, knowing that my simple daily activities, walking to the store, waiting to catch the public transit, or even driving to a friend's house could be a potential threat, or I could become a target by looking suspicious. Law enforcement is supposed to uphold the laws and not be this hostile force in our community. Law enforcement is supposed to protect and serve all in the community. However, I don't feel safe with law enforcement, especially with those who break the law. I feel a great deal of mistrust for watching my neighbors being harassed and financially burdened down with fines and tickets. How we compromise the future of aggressive policing. I fear for my children because as a parent, I will need to teach my children how to look non-threatening. I will need to teach them or reveal to them the importance of simply staying alive. And that scares me more than anything. Sometimes I hear sirens and I can hear helicopters. And I think back to August the 9th, when my community had tanks and rocks and large clouds of smoke filled the air at night. I was too afraid to sleep. I lied awake to tell because my community streets looked like Iraq. The sight was unreal. For this reason, I support Senator Nasheed and push up police act. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Are there any questions for the witness? Okay. Please, we didn't get your last name, and we'll just be sure to include that on your witness form. We'll make sure that we get that correctly listed.
It's a.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Next in favor. Next in favor.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Crawford-Aragon. I'm the Executive Director of Missouri Immigrant and Refugee Advocates. MIRA, our organization, has been part of the coalition that has been meeting over these many months, working on drafting this legislation. We wanted to give our full support. One of the reasons that our organization is involved in this, immigrant and refugee Missourians also experience biased policing and racial profiling at a high rate. And how that often manifests itself is that particularly Latinos or others are more likely to be searched and arrested after they're stopped, and how that is perceived by community members is often people who are perceived to be non-citizen, or that the officer might have questions about their immigration status. They arrest them because in the booking process is how you determine somebody's, is at the point in which you determine someone's immigration status. So what's happening is they're arresting people that have done nothing to be arrested because they're trying to use that as an immigration screener. Community members, as was illustrated by the woman who came before me, the community is aware that these things are a problem. This isn't, by collecting new information, we're not going to be telling community members anything they don't know, but by collecting data that's more accurate will be able to address the problem. Hopefully before it gets to July and, you know, another story comes out and you know, at the same time what we have every year, if departments have a protocol that they can address this on an ongoing basis, I think that would be very helpful. I think the other thing that is important to note is that when there is mistrust between community members and police departments, that's a public safety problem, not only for those particular community members, but all of their neighbors and the police themselves. You know, we have talked to so many people that why would you call the police if you're not sure that the police are on your side? Because there has been, you know, a number of negative every interaction you have with the police is negative. You're not going to trust them. And that's not only a problem, you know, if my neighbor doesn't call the police when their house gets broken into, that's a problem for me too, right? So I would, for all those reasons, and also immigrant refugee Missourians, oftentimes language and cultural barriers are an additional problem when interacting with the police, and so we really appreciate the training and community involvement and community accountability provisions of this bill. We think that would be very helpful in addressing those concerns. And as our coalition would also be happy to meet with any member of the community about issues too.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony. Any questions, Ms. Witness? All right, done. Thank you. Next in favor.
We're staying. Don Law, I live in Columbia, Missouri. I'm representing Power, Missouri. For more than 5 years, we've looked into the vehicle stop report data. For the last couple of years, we've worked with a complete data set to do a closer analysis, and it comes out of the Attorney General's official report. There's lots of good data there, and there's lots more that can be done with it than is done in the official report. This last year, we noticed that Blue Springs and a number of other agencies showed remarkable decreases in disproportions. And we got to wondering what was going on in these places. I contacted Wayne McCoy, the chief in Blue Springs, and he said he'd been there for 2 years. He was hired with the recommendation of Mayor Carson Ross to do the sorts of things that were intended by the 2000 racial profiling law. They took the things in that law seriously. They did the sort of attention to policy, attention to strong supervision of officers, better training by looking at internal data, and the results were showing up a couple of years later in lower disproportions. For instance, officers had much lower rates of resisting arrest charges and no disproportion for race on that, which I take as a sign that officers were learning to de-escalate situations and were being affected by the sorts of racial differences that could cause a problem. So in general, we take this as support for the general approach that was in that 2000 law and will be strengthened in the Fair and Impartial Policing Act. We keep doing the same sorts of things, but hold agencies more closely accountable for actually doing them and not making excuses for not doing them. All agencies will show the sort of improvement that we see in Blue Springs and a number of other agencies.
Any questions for this witness? Thank you, sir. Next in favor. Senator, just while we're waiting for the next witness, I see there are no criminal penalties in the bill. Is that right?
Okay, that's right. We have a section allows for civil recourse, section 11.
Okay. Thank you. Proceed.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Rustam Abdullah. I'm the lead organizer for the ACLU Missouri. And I'm here just to say that I'm strongly in favor of the legislation, but I'm also here to present testimony from a variety of community organizations and several members of the community that wanted to express their support. So I have those written here. I'm not sure.
We'll
There's
just.
there's 7 sets of testimony, so. And that's it.
Oh, great, yeah. Brevity is rewarded. Any questions, perhaps with a question, I don't know. Any questions for this witness? All right, thank you, sir, we'll make sure that's distributed. Any one else to testify in support?
My name is Jeff Stack. I'm the office with New Missouri Fellowship of Reconciliation. I thank Senator Dixon for having both a hearing for this bill. Thanks to Senator Nasheed, Senator Chappelle-Nadal for leadership. Park was founded back in '61 to work towards ending segregation in the Missouri area. And this is the most recent civil rights struggle of our time. And I encourage us to move forward with it. I think we've had examples recently, at least one presidential candidate that seemed to accept that it was already affiliated with a certain racist group. And I would encourage us in our state to differentiate ourselves, to show that we are on a higher ground. And I encourage the community to vote this bill be passed as confirmation in that direction. I know that's who our state is, and just want to see it firmly happen.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else to testify in support? Anyone to testify in opposition?
Thank you, Senator Kevin Albrecht, President of the Missouri Internal Board of Police. I have not seen the committee sub yet, so based on the original bill, I'm going to testify opposition.
I think the only provision is that it removes the sexual orientation and gender identity, which I think you raised a point on the previous bill.
Right.
I think it takes that out, specifying when a violation of bias policing provision is established. I believe that's the only change.
Well, then really the most concerning section to me that is the part that limits what an officer can ask for an investigatory stop. Not be happy with the senator.
Great. Any questions for this witness?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in opposition. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Okay.
One that concerns me, she's said we have not seen a substitute. We're always doing work with the Senate. We haven't asked them I see concerns we still have based on what we're talking about before, but we're still in this substitute. Before we ask to see it.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Senator Kevin, you have a question. Okay. Anyone else to testify in opposition? Okay, seeing none, that'll close the hearing. I'll give you a brief.
Okay, that's great, and I'll be extremely brief. I just want to again say that this bill is not an attack on law enforcement. I know that we all have a lot on our plate, but I would really, highly recommend that you take a really close look at this piece of legislation so that we can begin to deal with the issues that are plaguing a lot of the communities, minority communities here throughout the state, and that is racial profile. And I think we can take a second look at the statute and try to enhance that statute. Again, this is not an attack on law enforcement. I think they're doing a great job. We have good and bad cops. And what we want to do is weed out those bad cops, so that those good cops will look good. Again, this is good public policy, and I really highly recommend that you all take a close look at this piece of legislation and see how we can make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We will now move to Senator Riddle's bill. Senate Bill 1055. Welcome.
For the record, I'm Senator Jean Riddle. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee for allowing me to present Senate Bill 1055, which would give the Department of Mental Health standing in cases that challenge an involuntary medication order, in cases of patients committed to the department for competency restoration. The goal would be to eliminate the argument that the department cannot challenge involuntary medication orders. In many cases, patients are referred by the court to the Department of Mental Health for competency restoration and need medication for their psychiatric condition. If the patient refuses medication, the department has an operating regulation that follows whenever it considers involuntarily medicating the patient. A growing problem has been public defenders requesting the court prohibit the Department of Mental Health from involuntarily medicating a patient unless there's a hearing on the matter before the court. And in addition to arguing that the department does not have standing to challenge a prohibiting order, it should be made clear that the department is not trying to aid in the prosecution or the defense of the patient. They simply want to provide treatment clinically appropriate. Both the defense and the prosecution retain their existing authorities, but the department would have standing to challenge involuntary medication orders. It is important to allow the Department of Mental Health to provide appropriate involuntary medication for patients committed to the state psychiatric hospital. These patients are often a danger to themselves and the employees that are charged with their care. Legal challenges can result in the department being hampered in its ability to treat dangerous individuals and create an even more unsafe workplace. Therefore, the department should be allowed to have standing when the issue of involuntary medication comes before the court. We'll answer questions and also have some questions.
Okay. Any questions for Senator Riddle? He apparently did a great job explaining. Anyone to testify in support?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Ricky Wright. I am Deputy Director of the Division of Behavioral Health, Department of Mental Health. In addition to the reasons that Senator Riddle laid out, I just wanted to explain from the department's perspective why we think it's important to make this change. So it's clear that the department has authority on a very limited issue to be able to file motions and be heard on such motions relative to involuntary medication. So whenever anyone is charged with a criminal offense, the prosecutor, the public defender, the individual's attorney, they can raise the issue of competency of the individual. If that person is found to be competent, then they're committed to the Department of Mental Health for counsel restoration. The whole reason why they're coming to the department is for us to treat their mental illness and restore them to competency so that they can be tried on a criminal charge. We are finding in some jurisdictions that the public defender's office is routinely filing a order with the court requesting, or motion with the court requesting that involuntary medication not be allowed by the Department of Mental Health unless it's appearing before the court or in the case of an emergency. This is not widespread across the state. It's just happening in some jurisdictions. But as you can imagine, that causes some difficulty for the department given that they have been committed to us for treatment and competency restoration. The department is not informed when that motion is first filed because we're not a party to the case. It's only at the point that the person is found preliminarily incompetent that they're committed to the department. And so it's at that point when the person comes in and has this order for involuntary
medication that is prohibited, that it impacts our ability to treat. That being said, most people, even if they have one of these orders, will consent to treatment. Based on that, we're able to treat your mental illness, we're able to restore them to competency if that's possible. It's in those cases though where they come to us with one of these orders, refuse medication, we can't treat them. We can't restore them to competency. And the individual ends up in essence, legal limbo, because our doctors cannot opine as to their competency if we can't try them on medication. So for this reason, we would like to be able to file motions with the court relative to the involuntary medication and to be heard on those motions. It is in no way to aid in the prosecution of the individual, to limit or restrict what the attorneys can argue. If we were to file a motion, the attorneys, of course, could be heard on that motion and could object to us being able to voluntarily medicate. We just want it to be clear in the law that we have that authority on that limited action to be involved.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you very much. Next in support. Anyone else to testify in support? Anyone to testify in opposition? Okay. Senator, any closing comments?
Thank you for your time, and we have a situation where we have patients that are denied because of this order their treatment to get better, and as a result, they will either hurt themselves or somebody else.
Okay, now we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 1055, and now I will turn the gavel over to Senator Shaker, and I'll present the next bill.
I have the order 10,761, Senator Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bob Dixon presenting Senate Bill 1061. This is similar to a discussion we had last year on body cameras. This would modify provisions in the sunshine law regarding body cameras as they are becoming more widely used and certainly out of the post-Ferguson discussions. Our statutes do need some clarification with regard to the accessibility and the usage of the footage captured by those cameras. The bill provides that mobile video recordings from a law enforcement vehicle or a device carried by a law enforcement officer that includes a camera and recording capability are considered a closed record until the investigation becomes inactive. A recording in a non-public location may be closed, but allows for any person depicted in the recording, along with their attorney or insurer, to obtain a complete, unaltered, and unedited copy of the recording. The bill also adds legal guardians or parents of a minor to the list of people able to obtain closed, investigative, or mobile video records. It requires any person who receives a recording created in a non-public location, for example, a house, a school, or a medical facility, to notify all non-law enforcement individuals who appear in the footage at least 10 days before displaying or disclosing anything contained in the video. This would give private citizens time to petition the court to prevent footage from being shared publicly. I've dealt with a number of folks on this this year and last year. It's a work in progress, but we don't have anything governing this, and it seemed like a good starting place. Do you have to answer any questions?
Any questions for Senator Dixon? Anyone wish to testify in favor of the bill? Come on up.
Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Michelle Lund, I represent the Water Safety. I want to go on record and support this bill for a number of reasons. First of all, it does make the distinction between public and non-public entities, location, individuals. When you go into a non-public setting, the cameras, and we have a number of agencies that are already moving toward body cams currently. there's none that are also holding back the sunshine machine, so the privacy aspects as well. What we're favorable about this bill is it protects the privacy of individuals on non-public areas, in schools, in homes. Due to the fact that the type of video we're picking up from domestic, there could be kids in the house and in other situations that are very delicate, and very personal inside of their houses, schools, etc., that SROs. Also provides us that safety and security component, the privacy aspect. It also allows the courts to do a review of the video, make a determination of what could be edited, or what cannot be released. For those reasons, are one of the reasons we support this bill, with protecting the privacy of individuals.
Any questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. We're going to fill out a witness form. Further testimony in favor of Senate Bill 1061.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Sheriff Kevin Vaughn, Sheriff of Pettis County. I'm also on the board of directors of the past president of the Missouri Sheriff's Association. Missouri Sheriff's Association would like to go on record in support of this legislation.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Further testimony in favor of Senate Bill 1061.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Doug Cruz. I'm representing Missouri Press Association, and we want to go on record in support of this bill with maybe the hope of a little bit of tweaking here and there. The thing that we're most concerned about is on the very first page of the bill, which sets up a way that all public bodies, not just the police, can include time spent reviewing records to determine whether requested records shall be closed or be open. All public bodies could pay an attorney, have an attorney look at the records, and this is setting up where records will not be affordable for you, me, or anybody in the public. So that's an issue that we think needs to be looked at. One more, we think that this should only cover body-worn cameras rather than cameras that are inside the vehicle dashcam, because out on the public street, there's no expectation of privacy. And so this also covers in-vehicle cameras, and we think maybe it should just be limited to the body-worn cameras. Those are a couple of points we'd like to bring up.
Any questions for this witness? Mr. Nasheed.
I think you raised a good point on the cost. I was just looking at that language because it does appear that it applies to everything. My opinion is with all state agencies, that's gotten completely out of control.
Right.
I mean, now when you make a records request and an agency tells you they want $5,000, $10,000 to produce records, it's just gotten insane. You know, there's, from a Supreme Court case about 20 years ago, there's some really good language. And I think it was from Judge Price. It says it's already clear in sunshine law that records should be retained, segregated between open and closed, so that when a request is made, the agency already knows what records are open and what records are closed. So you don't make somebody pay for going through it. Now, I agree with you on the vehicle cameras, but I think Senator Dixon has a good point on the body cameras, because that is something that arguably you can't just segregate as either open or closed. And they do go into private spaces. And we certainly don't want to discourage someone from calling the police with a domestic violence situation or something in their home, because somebody says, oh, my house is a mess, or I look bad, or, you know, they're going to see this or that, and they're going to come in, they're going to take video, and everyone's going to see it. So we can't have that either. But I think there's probably a way to work that out. But this issue of agencies, and it's not just law enforcement agencies, in fact, it's probably less than law enforcement agencies, but all state agencies that this would be applicable to. Just mixing everything, which the Supreme Court has already said you're not supposed to do under the existing sunshine law, and then saying, well, we got to pay a lawyer $50 an hour to go through this and decide what you can get. It's completely prohibited for the public actually having access to public records.
Thank you. I totally agree.
Yeah, thanks.
Other questions of this witness? Thank you. Any further witnesses in favor of Senate Bill 1061?
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Holly Reagan and I'm an attorney for St. Charles County, Missouri.
I represent the St. Charles County Police Department, and handle many of those law enforcement matters, including issues related to sunshine requests. The St. Charles County Police Department currently does not use body cameras, though several municipalities within our county do. We have been following very closely this language and other language related to the sunshine law or body cameras, and are in strong support of this bill. We believe that this bill balances the privacy of those individuals who are in the videos, the public's interest in transparency and having access when necessary and appropriate, and law enforcement's interest in performing their duties and administering public records requests without overwhelming law enforcement agencies. Therefore, we support the bill and are available to answer any questions and thank you for your time.
Holly, thanks for your testimony. I remember when these bills started to be discussed about 2 years ago, I met with St. Charles County officials. I think you were in on the meetings, and you had a lot of concerns. And yeah, I guess it's your testimony that Bill Foxer's done a pretty good job of balancing the interest of the public in having body camera data recorded and privacy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Further questions for this witness? Seeing none. The testimony in favor of Senate Bill 1061.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Mark Gordon. I'm from the Missouri Broadcasters Association. And we support the bill. I want to echo my colleague Cruz with concerns that we have for the bill as well, but we do support it with those concerns.
Any questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Further testimony in favor of Senate Bill 1061.
Ward Cook with the Missouri Prosecutors Association. We also would like to go on record supporting the bill.
Any questions of Ward? Seeing none, thank you. Further testimony in favor of Senate Bill 1061. Any testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 1061?
I'm Sarah Rossi with the City of Missouri. We share the concerns of the Missouri Press Association. I'd also like to make a brief point about the type of footage that exists on body cameras. I think that including them in the same regulations with an investigative report is a bad idea. The investigative report and body camera footage or national footage are two completely different purposes. The investigative report is a one-sided report from a police officer about an incident that does not have third-party or impartial review or oversight. Body camera footage, that footage, are the opposite of that. The entire point of body cameras is to provide impartial third-party recall of something that has happened. So making that information available to defendants or people who have been interacting with police officers, et cetera, is more important, I think, than an investigative report because it's actually impartial. The other issue I have with this very last section of the bill, we have some concerns that kind of bumps up against a prior restraint issue, barring people from using that footage in whatever way they want. It's a public record if they requested it and court order that says they can use it. You are going to have some litigation issues there. Generally, we're not 100% in favor of body cameras. We're only in favor of body cameras if they're accompanied by very good and very detailed policies that provide privacy for not only the public and for people in their homes, but also police officers. And while I agree there does need to be uniformity, I appreciate the argument for uniformity, there are so much more that comes with body camera policies than what is listed in this bill. So I'm not opposing uniformity. I understand what Senator Dixon is trying to do, but I think it's worth having a longer conversation with interested community members and civil liberties advocates to really flesh out what should be available to the public for how long, who's going to hold on to that information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, before we pass statewide policies.
So your first concern about police reports and body camera, maybe don't go together. Do you think they should be in separate sections? And it's,
I think the accessibility of investigative reports is the importance of accessibility of investigative reports is separate from the, I think, greater importance of accessibility to third-party impartial information, which is what I think comes from dash and body cams. And that being said, any body cam policy that doesn't restrict police officers' viewing of that footage before they have to write their reports, I think is worthless. Because an investigative report can be written after they view the footage, and they can just write their investigative report to exactly mirror what happened in the footage, and To us, that completely kind of delegitimizes the impartiality of the body conclusion in the first place.
Okay, as you read the bill, there's not any restriction on that, nothing to prevent that. Okay, thank you. Further questions to this witness?
Sure. You mentioned criminal defendant having access, but that's not under sunshine law. I mean, that would be pursuant to stubborn.
Sure.
And so the criminal defendant's gonna get everything the police department has.
Right, but if somebody is in charge and they want to access the footage,
Once you're charged, they're gonna have access to everything.
I'm
the
saying
department
if
has.
they have interacted with police officers and not been charged, they should still be able to access that footage if they're.
Right, not in charge, but yeah, because I'm a member
Right.
following sunshine
Yeah.
law. Right. Discovered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But that last point I was curious about, so you don't think that officers should be able to look at their footage in their own
Before they
bodies?
write the report, so.
No, I don't follow that.
I think it maintains the integrity of the policing process. A lot of the times, we've had reports of, and the ACLU has had complaints about people getting there, not the ACLU, Missouri, ACLU National, police officers responding to an incident, something's happened during that incident, and then they view the body camera footage before they write the report so that they can make sure nothing conflicts, and I think it.
But isn't the purpose of the report to accurately reflect what happened when the officer was there?
Yes, but.
So if the officer, let's say the officer's there and they go back and look at it, what's the end of the day, when they get back to the office and write the report. And, you know, they thought somebody was 10 feet off to the right, they look at the body camera and they were 20 feet off to the right, so the report says they were 20 feet. Even though that's the accurate depiction.
I don't
of
think
the
that would be
officer.
something that raised a lot of flags, but I think that the impartiality of the body cam footage and the personal opinion of the officer that responded to the incident are different things.
Senator Raymond?
Yeah, I guess, I think that was the same question I had. I'm thinking about it while you're answering, and I may be leaning more towards your perspective on it, because I guess I could see where if I was a police officer and may have done something I thought was questionable, I might want to check the film and make sure it wasn't reported, so that I wouldn't report it. And so is that what you're thinking? I mean.
That is another possibility.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think you understand what I was saying, so.
Further questions to this witness? Seeing none. Thank you for your testimony.
And again, we're happy to work with anybody on crafting policies, and we're just as interested in privacy as the next person, so happy to help.
Further testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 1061. Testimony in opposition. Proceed.
Jeff, thank you. Missouri for reconciliation. I do want to express my thanks to Senator Dixon for trying to deal with this issue. It's a tricky situation, but I do appreciate the process. But for the same reasons that Ms. Rossi expressed, we have some hesitation of embracing it in full. But it goes in a good direction, but we encourage some further. But
Any questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Further testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 1061. Seeing none, concluding remarks. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor will say aye. All opposed will say none. This committee is adjourned.